What's up everybody, and welcome back to another video. I hope you're having a great day or night, depending on what time you're watching this, and I hope both your happiness and your net worth has increased since the last video. Today I'm going to be talking about one of my all-time favorite strategies. It's been around for a long time, people have been doing it forever, but it's just recently became more popular. I'm going to be talking about house hacking. Maybe you've heard of it, maybe you haven't, but either way, you should stick around and listen to this video because I'm going to teach you about it for those who don't know, and for those who have heard of it, I'm going to teach you multiple ways you can do it to save a ton of money in your future. While I don't regret not buying when I was younger because it kind of helped me to be where I am at today, maybe there could be an argument that I could be even better off if Rihanna and I had done this when we were younger, because we both had roommates that could have just as easily been tenants when we were younger, and they could have helped us pay our mortgage. And now for those who don't understand what I'm talking about, you're probably already confused. That's okay, I'm going to explain what house hacking is. House hacking is essentially owning multiple units, usually 4 or less, because after 4 you get into commercial lending, 4 or less, and then renting out the units that you don't live in. And then what that does is those units help you cover your mortgage. Oftentimes they'll not only cover your mortgage, but you even cash flow over and above what your mortgage is, allowing you to make some money in the process. Now there are multiple ways to do this, but I'm just going to go over a few examples so that you guys can relate and kind of understand and get some context to what exactly I am talking about here. So the first example I'm going to use is the college student. I get this question a lot, like should you rent or buy when you move off to college? And I think this is the way you should do it. So you probably know you're going to go off to college around 11th or 12th grade, at least most do. And so that gives you 2 years of working. Really, you could start working before that, but you start working 11th and 12th grade throughout the summer, and you're going to save up enough money for a down payment for wherever you're going to go off to college. Now, I know most colleges make you live in the dorms the first year, so that could give you a whole nother year to save before you need that down payment. But let's just say that you can buy right away when you go off to college. And what you're going to do is have that down payment ready, and you've been working, and you've established some credit. So now you can go get a loan on a 4-plex unit in the college town in which you are moving. So we're just going to use rough numbers here just so we don't have to get out the chalkboard and you guys can make easy sense of this. So let's just say that the unit is $200,000. So you take your down payment, you get your loan, and now you own a $200,000 4-unit building in the town in which you're going to go to college. So you already know finding renters is going to be super easy. Maybe not the best renters, but finding renters will be no problem. So what you're going to do is you're going to live in one of the units, and then you're going to rent the other 3 units out. So let's just really rough numbers here. Let's just say your mortgage, your interest, your property taxes, your capital expenditure, let's say all that runs you about $2,000 a month. But in that town, because you've already done your research, you know you can rent out each one of those units for $1,000. Now, of course, you're going to be living in one of them, so that's going to give you an income of $3,000 on that particular building of rental income. So remember, that's $3,000 coming to you a month, and you've already done the math. It's going to cost you $2,000 to run and maintain that building. So that is going to net you $1,000 over and above what your operating expenses are. So not only are you living for free, but now you are making $1,000 extra every single month, and you're only like, what, 19, 20 years old? And not only that, but the other 3 tenants are paying down your mortgage. Also, you're getting to write off the depreciation. There's so many pros to this. And now, how many kids do you know that are 19 or 20 years old, own their first piece of real estate, and they're making $12,000 a year in cash flow passively? Now, yes, I know some of you might be like, well, being a landlord is not very passive, and you have to deal with the 3 tenants. That's true. That's if you want to keep all of the cash flow. But here's another thing you could do, and what I would advise, especially if you're a college student and you're having to study and you just don't want to spend your time working or managing others, you hire a property management service. Now these are going to cost you about 10% of your gross rent. So real quick, rough numbers on your building, which is going to cost you about $3,000 more per year. So now instead of the $12,000 you were making a year of cash flow, you only make $9,000 a year. Who cares? You really don't even care that much about the cash flow. It helps, it's nice, but you're just caring that you get to live for free and your building's being paid for. But now you're also making $9,000 a year in cash flow, and you have somebody managing all of your tenants so that you don't have to. They find the renters, they fill out the applications, they deal with the problems. And if you can keep your mouth shut, nobody else needs to know that you own the building or that you're the landlord. The other 3 tenants and the other 3 units can think that you are just another tenant in your unit. They do not need to know that you own it. So they don't have to come knocking on your door all the time or, call you with complaints. They don't need to know that. They deal with the property management service for all this stuff, and that takes all the onus off of you for having to deal with that. And now you can just enjoy being a college student, and you can study more or do beer bongs, whichever one you want to do. Now check this out. Now you've lived 3+ years rent-free, your unit's been being paid down, and now you graduate, and now you want to move somewhere else. We've got multiple options. You can either keep renting it, which will actually increase your cash flow because you're not going to live there for free anymore. You're going to rent out that unit as well, give you another $1,000 a month in rental income. Or you could just sell it and hopefully you buy it in a college town. And college towns, depending on what college you go to, tend to appreciate a little bit quicker, especially right around the colleges. So maybe you paid $200,000 for it, you spent 4 years there, and maybe now it's worth $225,000 plus the amount you paid down, your equity amount, and now you walk off with a huge chunk of profit at the end of graduating, helping you go put a down payment on another house in another city, or whatever you want to do with that money. So that first example sounds great, doesn't it? Now sure, it's easier said than done. First of all, you got to work really hard and save up that down payment. Second, you got to find the property. Third, you got to find tenants and or hire a property management service. So there is going to be work involved just like with anything else. Nothing is just that simple. But with a little bit of work and a little bit of due diligence, I think that it could really pay off for you and help give you a huge jump start in your life. Now, if you're enjoying this video and you think that strategy is pretty cool, I got a couple more for you. But if you could please hit the like button down below, really helps the algorithm, helps me get my video in front of more people, which allows me to educate more people, which is my goal. Thank you so much. Now let's touch on a few more strategies because maybe you're not a college student, maybe you're a young couple or a young professional, or maybe you're even a family. Almost anybody can do this, but it's going to start stretching what people are comfortable with. So just keep that in mind as you watch this. Not everybody's going to want to do this or want to have roommates or want to rent out rooms or want to rent out anything or be a landlord in any type of way. If you don't, that's fine, but keep in mind, you're also not going to save a bunch of money by house hacking. Pros and cons. All right, let's say you're a young couple and you're looking to buy your first house, but the first house you want is a little bit out of your price range. Let's say that what you can afford in this neighborhood is maybe 2,500 square feet, but what you would like to have is 3,200 square feet. But that mortgage goes from $2,000 a month to $2,500 a month, and you can only safely budget for $2,000 a month. So now what you're going to do is you're going to look for a property in that neighborhood that has a potential or already has established a rental unit on the premises. So maybe in the garage or maybe a mother-in-law suite out back. And now you know that can rent because you've done your due diligence for about $700 to $800 a month conservatively. And you know that you have someone that you can put in that unit almost right away. Because keep in mind, you do need to account for vacancies. So anyway, now you can afford that house as long as you rent out that rental unit because you had $2,000 you safely budgeted for. The house that you want is $2,500 a month. The mortgage will be $2,500 a month. But you can rent out safely the unit out back or above the garage for another $800 a month. That gives you $300 a month above and beyond what you would need to safely pay for that mortgage, and now you can have that bigger house that you've always wanted. Or you can just look at it from a savings standpoint. This is how Rhiannon and I would choose to go about it. We would like to find a house one day that already has a rental unit because what that's going to do is pay for our mortgage or help pay for our mortgage. So let's say we're going to go with probably a really modest home. So let's say that our mortgage is $1,500 a month, but it has a rental unit on it that'll rent for $700 a month. Now our mortgage is only $800 a month and we're living in a house. Good luck finding a decent house for $800 a month, especially one that normally costs $1,500. And look, we don't mind if somebody lives 100 feet behind us in a property. I mean, that's typically how close a neighbor is anyway. And they're just paying us every single month. We don't have to have it. We can safely afford the $1,500 a month mortgage. But how nice would it be to save an extra $8 grand a year from the $800 in rent we're going to be getting every single year to put towards, a vacation we want or investments or whatever we want to do with it. I just think it's an overall smart strategy. Now here's another example. So maybe you can't buy a bunch of units or you can't even buy a house with a rental unit. You can only afford or find one house, but it's a decent sized house. It has like 3 bedrooms to it. You're a young professional. Maybe you don't have any kids. Maybe you're not married yet. Maybe this will work for you. Now keep in mind, Rhiannon and I had roommates while we were married and while we were engaged. I know it's not for everybody, but it allowed us to save a lot of money that we now use to invest. So anyway, now you own a single family house, but it has 3 bedrooms and you only need one of them. Here's another way you can house hack. You could rent out the other 2 bedrooms. Let's say your mortgage on this house is $1,500 a month, but you know you can rent out each bedroom because you've done your research in the area for $500 a month each. Now your entire mortgage is only $500 a month to you. And again, you are paying off a house and they're helping you do so. Now there's cons to all this, right? You're going to have roommates now. They're going to live in your house. They're going to share your kitchen, share your bathrooms. So you have to weigh if it's worth it to you or not. My argument is when you're young and you're just starting off, it should be worth it to you because your goal should be saving up a lot of money and investing so that you can make these sacrifices now so that you do not have to make them in the future. Nobody wants roommates at 50. Nobody really wants roommates at 20, but they're a little bit easier to tolerate when you're 20 than when you're 50. And it's more socially acceptable. If I had to tell my wife, hey, I think we should get a roommate now, even with the baby and everything, I think it'd be a little bit weird. And also, you're going to probably have a family when you're that old, and so you probably don't want strangers living in your house with your significant other and or your children, because it gets a little bit weird and probably not too safe. So that's why a lot of my suggestions here are for the younger crowd, because it just makes more sense to do this when you are younger. So anyway, I got a little bit on a tangent there, but yes, you could rent out the bedrooms and help you pay your mortgage that way and help you save. So I think that's another way. House hack within your house by renting out your bedrooms. The last example I'm going to go over with gets really weird, but it does work. Rhiannon and I have seen it work by living in California. But you're going to buy an RV or a camper, or maybe you already have one that's on your property, and you're going to rent that out to other people. Or if you really want to save money, you live in the camper or the RV and you rent out your home. That's how you really stack a lot of money. But I get it, right? It's like, man, I don't want to live in an RV on my own property while I watch somebody else live in my house. These are all ways that you can house hack or get out of debt or save frantically for what's something you truly want. Maybe to start that own business or buy another home or whatever the case may be. So keep that in mind. Yes, it gets a little bit weird, but it really depends on your goals and the situation you're trying to get into or out of. But yes, it's true. While living in California, we would go on Airbnb.com and we would see people with their RVs or their campers literally outside in their driveway renting for $150 a night. Now this is California, so that's to be expected, but think about $150 a night times 30 times 365. Of course, you're going to have vacancies, but do that math and you can see how much money you can make just by letting somebody stay the night in your camper. Now, some of these got up to $500 a night because they lived on the coast and had a beautiful view. They'd set up the camper, put a little fire pit out front, and these things would sell at $500 a night because they labeled them as a romantic getaway. And I thought that was pretty genius. All right, guys, well, that'll wrap up this video. I hope this taught you a little bit of house hacking and why somebody may want to do it. I think it's an outstanding strategy. I think almost every young person, unless you're already financially well off, I think this is how you should start off with your investment journey, because there's no easier way. You have roommates. Yes, that sucks, but you only have to do it for a few years. It's a temporary sacrifice so that you can get a better head start on life. Guys, again, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate your support, and I'll see you on the next video.